All right, so I think we can go ahead and get started. So, first off, I hope you all have had a good week 6 so far. It's crazy that we're already there, but we are. So, that's cool, I guess. As usual, an overview of the meeting today. We're going to announce some things. We're going to go have our icebreaker and breakout rooms, and then Yvonne, who's former member and co-founder of Hack for Impact here at Cal Poly, is going to be our speaker today. She's going to be talking about Impactful, which is a organization that she co-founded with some others, kind of centered around social good job opportunities after you graduate. So that'll be really cool. And yeah.
Hey, Eric, you want to share your screen with the slides?
Oh, am I not sharing my screen? Sorry. There we go.
All right, awesome. So just a few other announcements and upcoming events. I hope you guys are all excited for tomorrow because that is a Bites of Good live event about tech for the public interest with Shelly Kurtz. She's the co-founder of X for Impact and also works at Giving Tech Labs. It will be super interesting. If you forgot to sign up, I'm sending the link in the chat. It is not too late, so I hope to see you all there. Next, if you live on campus and you filled out the winter quarter mailing address form, Eric and I will be in the PCV area. I don't know what it's called, the outside area of PCV on Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30, handing out some gift packages. And so if you live on campus, not just in PCV, but if you live on campus, please come to pick them up during that time if possible. If you are unavailable at this time, let one of us know and we'll figure something else out and might schedule another time to do pickups. But just please note, we only have a package for you if you filled out the winter quarter mailing address form, because otherwise we don't know where to live or where you live and where to send it. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. Also a reminder that Nationals is hosting a Designing for Accessibility workshop on February 15th. This is the last of the series. They had 3 workshops. I know a few of you went to those, so super exciting stuff. And Chipotle Fundraiser is happening on February 20th. That is quickly approaching. So if you live in SLO, please just bring all of your roommates to Chipotle at this time. Hope to see all of you there. And when you go, you have to show them this flyer and stuff. So we will send it out in the Slack so you guys have it on hand. And lastly, just a reminder for PMs, I sent a link in the Slack earlier this week. Please register your projects with Nationals. One Cool Earth, you guys already did it. Thank you for that. But other projects, please get those registered. That would be super helpful. I know that's kind of a lot of stuff. Does anybody have any questions about that? Feel free to message me if you do, but cool.
Also, quick clarification, like at PCV will be most likely outside of Village Market or like Einstein's or whatever is currently occupying that one building right there. So that's where we'll be wearing masks, obviously. So yeah. Okay. So now moving on to our icebreaker. Today's icebreaker question is, if all jobs paid the same amount, what would you want to do and why? And so I've created the breakout rooms. And yeah. Oh, Yvonne's here.
All right, is everybody back from the breakout rooms? Yes? Okay. Awesome. So as we mentioned before, we are so excited to be joined by Ivonne today. She helped start the Cal Poly chapter of Hack for Impact. So you should all be very grateful that all of us are sitting here right now. But she also co-founded Impactful, which is what she's going to talk a little bit about today, her experience doing that, founding it, and also how you guys can all get involved. So Yvonne, I hopefully Eric let you share your screen. If not, let's make sure that that's able to do that.
I don't think I see the option to share my screen.
Okay, it should.
Oh wait, start share. Never mind. I got it.
Awesome.
Okay. Do you see my screen? Okay, cool. Well, hi everyone. It's very nice to meet you all. Don't look at the slides, spoilers. You know, I was just like super amazed by how many people there are on this call. I know that all of the directors are doing a fantastic job, and I'm just so proud of all of you. And yeah, just really excited. As Elena said, I'm going to be talking about my experience with Impactful, which is a project that I started with a couple of friends that I met a little over a year ago, and I'll dive deeper into that story in the presentation. And yeah, so before I go into that, I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit more. So I'm Yvonne. I graduated from Cal Poly in December of 2019, so a little over a year now. And now I am very happy to call Seattle, Washington my home. I'm originally from the Bay Area, and I currently work full-time at Microsoft as a software engineer. I started in March, so I'll be hitting the 1 year pretty soon. It's pretty exciting. And more relevantly, I am the co-founder of weareimpactful.org. We'll talk a little bit more about in a sec. And I also included some Twitter, LinkedIn, social stuff there. Feel free to send me a request or follow me on Twitter. I don't really use it, but I know it's all the rage. And a little fun thing that I wanted to add in the introduction as well is this photo on the right. It was our very first banquet for Hack for Impact back in May 2018. As you can see, there were just 5 of us. So it's just like amazing to see, you know, all the fruits of your labor culminating to this event. And it's so happy to just see it all in retrospect. So yeah, again, I'm talking about Impactful. It's a side project that I started. And before I dive into that, I wanted to provide a little bit more context on how this project just came to be. So is anyone here familiar with Impact Labs? I know the directors are, but anyone else familiar with them? Okay, so I would recommend you check them out. I did the Impact Fellowship after I graduated in January 2020, back when I had no clue what 2020 was going to be like. It was in New York, and I got to meet a bunch of other either students or recent graduates who were interested in tech plus social good slash social impact tech slash public interest technology. They're all kind of interchangeable terms. I'm going to personally use public interest technology just because that's the term that I've been using as of late. But yeah, we got to, you know, it's cool to just be in a large group with people who are interested in public interest technology. And we also got to, you know, learn about different technology, meet people who have paved their own pathways into public interest technology. We've spoken to engineers, founders, designers, etc. I think the cohort before mine got Andrew Yang as a speaker, which was pretty cool. And in my cohort, we actually got to meet Joshua Bengio. And for those who aren't familiar with him, he was a recipient of the Turing Award a couple years ago. So that was really, really cool. But most importantly, throughout the 2 weeks, we were given the task to split up into groups and just work on a project that addressed some sort of public interest, social good need. And it could have been anything. Some people made like a birding app. Some other people made a web app in order to preserve, you know, oral languages that are at risk of, being lost forever. And so my project was mainly to address the issue of just breaking into the public interest technology space. So I noticed a pattern with all of us in the Impact Fellowship. We were all people who were very hyped about tech plus social good, but in our experience, it was really hard to just find community or find resources like that during our time at school. We all agreed that CS plus social good on Facebook was a pretty cool group. If you're not in it, check it out. I got to like learn about like cool hackathons and like events that were going on when I was still in school. But again, it's Facebook, it's a limited group. And who knows how long Facebook will be around for. So definitely not like a sustainable source for breaking into tech, public interest tech, I mean. Every once in a while, someone's gonna post this master doc of like, here are all these internship opportunities related to social good. And that's pretty cool for the season. But again, like sifting through 20 pages of Google Docs is not very convenient. And also, you're probably getting a limited range of results. Every once in a while, someone's going to ask if there's any cool opportunities for public interest technology, and you kind of end up with similar results if you've been on the hunt for this long enough. And there's also some websites that people have started up, and they've been, seemed interesting, but, the main problem is that either the website is no longer maintained, or it's just very difficult to use. I know one of the websites used something called Google Forums, and I had never heard of that before, and it was just like a nightmare to look through. So, people are really trying to like make sure that people can break into public interest tech, find opportunities, and just know how to like pave this career pathway, but it's really hard. And so to sum it all together, the main problem that we identified is that there are a lack of resources for people who are interested in doing good with their technical skills, but resources and opportunities are inaccessible and disorganized. And so during the 2-week fellowship, my partners and I, we'll go back here, my friend and also co-founder Larissa, in this bottom left photo, we bonded about how we both had our own like Google Sheets of like resources and information that we had found throughout the years. And we were like, why is it so hard to find all of this information? So we were like, let's just compile our spreadsheets together and then like put it on the web, and it'll be a resource that everyone can have and people can add on to it and stuff. So that was kind of our project. And then we continued to work on it after that throughout the rest of the year. And then that is how we came up with our thing now called Impactful. And we would describe ourselves as a platform for connecting early career individuals with opportunities in tech for good. And our scope was pretty broad at the beginning, but now we are solely focusing on serving current university students and recent graduates. And the reason for that is because one, all of us on this team, there's 4 of us who do this full time, not really full time, but like we've done this ever since the beginning. We're either still in school or just recently graduated. So our networks are the strongest in these circles. And also we noticed that the barrier to entry is much higher for this demographic. So like if you search like CS plus social good jobs, like one of the like the top results that you'll probably get are like senior software engineer, or like some role that requires 5 to 10 years of experience. And obviously, like, young, passionate people aren't going to be able to meet these requirements, but that, there's reasons behind this. Nonprofits, as you know, don't have the bandwidth to hire a bunch of highly sought out and valuable technical people. But so it makes more sense to just hire one senior person. But there's plenty of organizations and plenty of private companies who can, who have the resources to ramp up these new grads. So there is a disconnect between opportunities and the people who are passionate about them. And so that is kind of what we're trying to address. Another important thing to note is that we were able to learn more about this issue through funding by New America. We were funded by them in the fall, and we were funded by Mozilla Builders in the spring, which is an 8-week incubation program. Definitely check out both of those places. You don't need to like have a limitation on like your education level or your age. It's just if you're passionate and you have a good idea, you definitely should check them out. But anyways, with New America, they funded us to continue doing our work, but also to conduct research on this disconnect in the career pipeline into public interest technology for university students. So what we did was we interviewed hiring managers, executives, and university staff, like career counselors and stuff, to understand, what is it that these organizations are looking for in like new hires, and what is it that schools are providing to prepare students to be competitive in these roles. And we did all this research and now have it all compiled in one big report, and now we are trying to figure out how to share this knowledge to the public. We don't think that sharing this like 20-page report is going to be very useful. We're thinking of either making a Medium post or recording it, but more on that later. Yeah, I know that was a lot. So that's kind of where we are at now. Does anyone have any questions before I move on? I know I just talked a lot. Feel free to unmute yourself and just say something. Okay, cool. Yeah, so how can you get involved in this platform? So there's 2 main components to our website. The first part is an online community. Currently, we have a Slack community, and you can find the link to join that on our website. But we are currently in the transition of moving our community to Ladder. Slack was never intended to be our permanent community because, as you can tell, Slack communities can get kind of spammy if you're not really intending to use it and talking to hundreds of people all the time. So we're moving to Ladder. Fun fact, Ladder is also a project that started from the Mozilla incubation thing that we were part of in the spring. We were part of the same cohort, and they're amazing, doing great things. I'm going to show you really quick what it looks like. Ladder is a community, a platform intended for students. And you can join a bunch of different communities and, build relationships, network, and share resources about things that you are interested in. And if you see here, there is a social impact section, and that is where we will exist, hopefully in the future, when all of like the specific features that we will need for our community are implemented. Bless Ladder people for helping us out with that. So get out. If you don't have a Ladder account, you should make one. They're pretty cool. And then the second part is this open source database that we have on our website. So here is a quick view of our website. Fun fact, we're going to push a new iteration of this next week, hopefully, just because this embedded Airtable simply does not cut it for us. It's, it's fine. It it displays all the information that we want pretty easily, but you know, the filtering is not very intuitive and you can't really do it on mobile, but that's a side tangent. So these jobs and opportunities that we have here, you can actually submit. And we also have a table of organizations that I've spent a long time compiling that are places that we think are doing important work and that might be hiring, or they're just good to keep an eye out. And if there's anything that you want to submit as well, you can easily do so through this form. Wi-Fi slow. And then once you submit it, it will automatically be added to our database, and me and my team members we try our best to update this at least like once a week. And we get rid of entries that, you know, are outdated, and make sure that everything on there aligns with what we think is public interest technology. So that would be another great way to get involved. If you see anything cool, please share it with us. And then volunteer positions. We were very fortunate to have gotten funding from New America in the fall to hire 2 interns, but applying for funding takes a lot of work, and all of us on this team, there's 4 of us, are either still in school, working full-time, or doing both. So we do not have the time to be like growing at such a scale with our responsibilities. So we are currently in the process of, you know, like coming up with very like small and manageable volunteer positions, nothing like crazy, no more than like 2 to 3 hours a week, probably even less. So we are thinking of like making positions for like maybe crafting a newsletter, or writing up like a Medium post, or posting on our Instagram, or literally there's so many things that we want to do. And, you know, if you have any ideas, you can totally just, you know, hit me up or go to any of like the contacts that are on our website, and we'd be more than happy to get on a call and talk to you and stuff. So there's that. And when we do make that announcement, we'll probably be on our newsletter. So you should sign up for our newsletter. Again, feedback is always great. We have contact links and social media on our website with people's LinkedIn information, emails, our socials. So just like follow us, email us, subscribe to our newsletter. That would be fantastic. Okay, back to presentation. So I'm done talking about impactful. Some things that I wanted to highlight here were some things that some high level things that we had learned through our research. I don't have time to talk about all of these things, but I think these would be most relevant to you all as you are students, and probably have some interest in some capacity in pursuing public interest technology in the future, whether it be through your volunteer work or if you want to make a career out of this. Here are some things that I found. One of the most important things that hiring managers and just employees at these types of companies look for is collaboration across teams and institutions. And that may sound very simple, but you know, the world is complex and there are complex problems. And when you are trying to tackle such like greater than the world issues, you are probably going to need to talk to people who are, you know, in charge of data sources. You're going to probably need to talk to marketing. You're probably going to need to interact with engineering, design, XYZ. And it's very critical that you be able to be flexible and communicate with these types of people, and not limit yourself to just your area of expertise. And I know that since you are in this club, you are probably doing a lot of interdisciplinary work, which is awesome. So you're already gaining a lot of cool skills through that. Higher level problem solving and technical skills obviously are relevant depending on your role. And we saw that the most sought out skill, specifically in tech and social good, is data analysis. So if you're taking, you know, those data science classes right now, you're doing great. The second most popular is full stack web engineering, which you're all probably doing as well. So that's great. Alignment with organization's mission is very critical. You know, when you are in the public interest tech space, people care about missions and values a lot more than other places, at least from my observation. And it's really nice because you get to be surrounded by people who really care about the same things that you do and probably share similar values. And it forms like a really nice community. And then the last two, recognition of privilege and willingness to learn about systems of oppression are always important, and things that you always need to check in consistently, as well as making sure that you check in with yourself and make sure that, you know, ask yourself, are my actions and is the work that I'm doing aligning with the values that I set for myself? And am I, you know, not inspiring, but am I like showing that through my actions, and are people, you know, receptive to it? That is also very good, and something that you need to do all the time, something that I always do. And what's next? Since you all care about making, you know, a good impact, especially the nonprofits that you're doing stuff for right now, you probably think to yourself, how am I going to, you know, deliver the best thing to the client, the nonprofit or whatever. And, you know, always the best thing to keep at the forefront of your mind is honoring impact over intent. You know, public interest technology is such a beautiful sounding field. You know, you're fighting for those who, you know, need the resources, and we're trying to make stuff more accessible, but we're all human, we make mistakes, and we have the capacity to do harm to other people and organizations. So we just always be cognizant of that. And, you know, ask yourself these questions that I've listed down here. How is my work affecting other people? Who's at the forefront on making big decisions? And who will be affected? Is what I'm doing going to make stuff more accessible, or is it going to make it harder for other people? And who is it? And, you know, where do they fall in this very complicated world? It's all a lot of high level stuff, but, you know, when you practice this type of mindfulness, it's really helpful and will make you a better collaborator, teammate, person, all of those things. Yeah, so I'll probably link this slide show in the chat, but I know I also gave the link to Elena, so they could probably share it later. But on this slide, I have some links to some resources that I think are personally very helpful if you're interested in learning more about breaking into public interest technology and what steps you can take to, you know, grow your career in this stage of your life. I know that clubs like this did not exist when I started in school, and Eric and the other co-founders and I, you know, started this because there wasn't really any resources. So definitely take advantage of all of the stuff that is at your disposal, and, you know, share this knowledge with other people if they aren't aware of it, because the more people that are aware of this, then hopefully the demand in, you know, employers and organizations putting priority in values that you find important will hopefully, you know, emerge and just shift, I guess, our culture in technology, because there is a lot to work on when it comes to culture in the technical fields. So yeah, that's my little ramble. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Here are some social links to more impactful stuff. You should definitely follow us on Instagram. We did a giveaway a while ago and we advertised cool events. So yeah, again, thank you so much. And yeah, if you have any questions or I don't know what we're doing after this, I'm done. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ivonne. And
Mhm.
like, just to second everything that she said, if you haven't visited weareimpactful.org, please do. Like, this was a total game changer when trying to look for opportunities. Like, I'm really fortunate that I found Hack for Impact. We all are. But then we want to find something else afterward as well. And it is a great, great resource. But if anybody has any questions, definitely feel free to ask them now. I definitely have some, but first I'll open up the floor to everybody else. Anybody have any questions for Ivonne?
Yeah, I have a question. I was wondering, how much time do you spend on this a week if you have a full-time job at Microsoft?
Yeah, it depends. I am like a salaried employee at Microsoft, so I do get a lot of flexibility with how I do my work. Sometimes I like just shift my hours more towards one part of the week if I know I'm gonna need to like be in a lot of meetings related to Impactful. But on average, I would say that I spend maybe no more than 15 hours, but that's a lot. That's really pushing it. I would say on average, I do like maybe like 5 hours a week. And, that obviously doesn't like, that's not as much as I would like, but, with more people and stuff, it could be very manageable. And, we're like only doing this out of like our own interests. So there's no real pressure to like commit a certain amount of hours to this. Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions? Ethan, I see you raising your hand.
Yeah.
Hi, Ethan.
Hello. What areas of public interest tech interest you the most?
Oh, wow. It's hard to it's hard to choose. I think like after all of the investigating that I've done on the internet, I think I've just learned about so many like different sectors that I didn't even know existed. And now I'm like, I wanna do all of these things. But I would say that the one that speaks the most to me is probably like access to education and or like what I don't know what the term is. Economic what I'm trying to explain is disenfranchised people getting opportunities and resources to be more self-sufficient and successful. I am like a first generation student, so like education and being part of a low income household are like things that very much affected me, and I think I have the most like knowledge that I can pass on to address those things. So I think that would be my answer.
Anybody else have other questions? I definitely have one, but anybody else? Okay, I'll ask mine first. Just what was the most difficult part of like the process of applying for funding through like Mozilla and those other programs? Like what was the hardest or like what most surprising part of doing that? Because if I were to try to go through that process, I know nothing about that at all. And so doing that like fresh out of college seems a little difficult.
Yeah, for sure. It seemed really daunting. I was like, the hell, I'm not like trying to be a startup and get seed funding, like what is this? But for Mozilla, that was a pretty straightforward, or I guess as straightforward as it gets for funding application, because it is more of like an incubation program and not like we are funding you as a company and we need you to make this amount of revenue. And again, this is not directly answering your question, but because we are like in simplest terms, like a nonprofit type of like thing, it's much harder to get funding because you're not selling shit and making money. So that's another barrier that we ran into. Just a lot of places that provide funding expect you to have a product that makes a lot of money. But for Mozilla, we had to like answer a lot of essay prompts explaining like the issue, our research, and I think that took up, that was like maybe like a 10-page Google Doc, a 10 to 15-page Google Doc that me and my teammates wrote up. Being a good writer is like a skill that is very important and very underrated. But when it comes to like answering all these questions, that was very hard for me. I was like, wow, my engineering education did not prepare me for this much writing. So one of my other teammates who is actually very good at writing helped with that. What else? Another thing that was difficult for funding was that a lot of places that do provide funding and don't expect you to be a company that makes money, most oftentimes expect you to be a nonprofit. So Impactful is actually now registered as a nonprofit, like in the same category that Hack for Impact is. That was surprising to me. So I don't know, it's just weird to say like, oh, I'm a nonprofit now. So that's all I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely sounds difficult, but really cool that you guys were able to navigate it successfully as well. I guess that's the more important part.
Yeah, for the filing of a nonprofit thing, we did talk to like lawyers and stuff.
Gotcha.
And apparently it's the easiest to file in New Jersey. So we're filed in New Jersey as a nonprofit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any last questions for Ivonne about Impactful, or I don't know, anything else?
Anything?
Yeah.
Does Impactful have any like 20-year vision goals?
We've kind of been forced to think about that through our mentors. I did mention that we got mentors during the funding. They're like, oh, like, how do you imagine yourself in 10 years? How many users do you imagine yourself in 10 years? And I'm like, oh. So I would say my answer to that is just, I think the thing that I mentioned about the pipeline to public interest technology, I think what I would like to see is like, 10 years from now, people are not like, the thing that I most see on my socials is not like, I got an internship at this company that hires tens and hundreds of thousands. And yes, I know I work for one of those companies. But I would like to see more interest in just like organizations that do stuff for good. And I think that the reason that isn't really as popular is for one of the reasons that I explained already. It's just hard to find opportunities right now. But also there's a lot of misconceptions about working in these types of things. Like people think that if you work in a nonprofit or a company that has a core like mission to address like social issues, that you aren't going to have financial stability and that you're at risk of losing your job or that you're just not going to make as much. And those are all very valid concerns. As someone who is like expecting to be the person who financially takes care of their family, I was very concerned about that. And that is why I am working at a big tech company. And I wish I had known that I could still pursue my passion and still make money. Like we're tech workers, like we're gonna make money. I think just more visibility of organizations that do good things and tech people pursuing those more. Yeah.
Cool. Last call for questions. Anybody else got any good ones? well, actually not last chance. You have Yvonne's LinkedIn and email and all of that stuff. But last chance for right now. Nobody has any. Thank you so much, Ivonne, for coming to talk with us and sharing impactful. Again, like if you guys haven't checked out the website, like highly recommend doing so. It's a really great place to start, especially if you're still looking for an internship or something this summer. She said they're updating them every week, so like definitely go check that out. And with that, Eric, are we doing team breakout rooms? Are we?
We have them if you need them, so it's totally optional. But feel free if your team is meeting at another time to just leave the meeting. But yeah, I can go ahead and open them, and you should just be able to choose them. But if not, and you want to hang around, hang out with us in the main room, you can do that as well.
All right. Thank you so much again, Yvonne. And bye everybody else if you drop off the call. But